Today we're ranking all the NBA starting shooting guards, and this ranking is going to be based off a tier list, as well as these rankings are going to include how I think they're going to do this season. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, we're going to start with Dejante Murry. Now, he's going to be the shooting guard alongside Trae Young. And last season, they did have their differences on the basketball court, trying to figure out who goes where. But I think having another year under their belt, they're going to put it together and figure it out a little bit better. And Murray is still one of the greatest two-way shooting guards we have in the league. And for that reason, I'm going to put him at the A tier. Next, we have Austin Reaves. Now, he's a great third option on this Laker team besides LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He can shoot the ball, he can pass the ball, he can drive, and he's a great defender. And he's going to have an overall great season this year, as I think he's going to solidify himself as the third option on this team. And I do think he's going to fall in a B category and be a great third option for them, putting up around 15 points a game, as well as facilitating some of the offense and playing great defense. Next, we have Ben Matheriun. He was a rookie last season, and he had a really good start to the rookie year. And as his shooting declined, his points per game started to decline. However, he's an explosive player, really can attack the basket. And if he kind of figures out to shoot a little better from three, he's going to be a phenomenal scorer in this league. And I think next year his efficiency is going to improve, and he's going to be solidified the starting shooting guard role in Indiana. And for that reason, I think he's going to be on the B tier. Eventually, I believe he can be an A-tier shooting guard in this league. However, he needs to be more efficient with a shot, and he also needs to work on not having such tunnel vision when driving to the basket. Next, we have Herb Jones. Now, I'm putting Herb Jones on the B tier primarily because of his defense. I mean, he is already one of the best wing defenders in the league. With a body of 6'8", 6'7", with a long wingspan, he could really defend 1 through 4. And his jump shooting has improved. He's becoming a really good 3-and-D. I'd like to see a little bit more from him on offense, but his defense alone puts him in B, and that's where he's going to be. Next, we have Klay Thompson. Now, unfortunately, I have to put him at the B tier because his defense isn't what it used to be. His shooting was pretty inefficient last year, but he did step it up towards the end of the season. However, I do think we're going to see a decline in his play this year. He's still a phenomenal shooter, but I think his efficiency is going to drop and his defense is going to get worse, as well as he's trying to work out a contract with the Golden State Warriors right now. And I think he's going to be in this prove-it mindset, which last year he kind of had that prove-it mindset and was chucking up a lot of bad shots. And for that case, I got to put him at B. I know people aren't going to be a fan, but that's where I think he lies at this point in his career. Next, we have Quinton Grimes. Now, Grimes is a great spot three-point shooter, and he's a pretty good defender. However, his defense isn't great in this league, and his ability on offense sometimes can kind of go under the radar. He had multiple games last season where he maybe only scored 4 or 5 points because he wasn't involved in the offense. So I'm going to have to put him at C. He could very well jump up to the B if he becomes more involved in the offense, but that's not really his fault. It's more of the coaching and trying to get him more involved. However, I think what he's going to do next season, C is going to be where he lands. Next, we have Desmand Bane. Now, Desmand Bane is clear-cut A tier for me, especially the start of the season with Ja Morant being out. He is going to average well over 20 points. I can see his averages for the first couple months being around 26, 27. And maybe when Ja Morant gets back, he's going to drop down a couple points. But his three-point shot has always been elite. He's really learning to shoot off the dribble now, and his finishing is pretty good for his size. And he's a very solid defender, as he's a very strong guard, and he can definitely get low and stay planted on these guys. So in that case, he's definitely going to be in the A category. Next, moving on to Jaylen Suggs. Now, I was a huge fan of Jaylen coming out of college. However, he hasn't really found his role in the NBA yet. The Magic have been playing him at the 2, and he's become a pretty good defender, but his offense is really inefficient. He's shooting bad from 3. He hasn't really figured out finishing over taller guys in the NBA, and he really doesn't provide him much on offense, and his playmaking isn't really where you want it to be from a guy who can't score that well. I think this is kind of his last year to really prove that he can be a starter caliber player in the league. However, based on what we've seen the past 2 seasons and the logjam of guards they have there in Orlando now between Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Anthony Black, Jet Howard, and Jalen Suggs, I think it's going to fall in the D category. Next, we have Josh Giddey, and I'm going to put him on the A category. I know his offense isn't quite there yet, but his playmaking is elite. His rebounding is very good for the position. His defense is good enough to be a starter. And the only thing that's missing is a three-point shot, but I believe he shot very well when he played this summer, and I think the three-point shot's finally going to come around to where he can hit it at a respectable rate. And once he adds that, he immediately becomes an A-tier player, and I think this is the year he makes that improvement. So for Josh Giddey, I'm putting him in the A category. Next, we have Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter is an absolute B for me. He is a great three-point shooter, and he can move off the ball well, and he just fits so well in that Sacramento's offense. B is a perfect place for him. Next, we have Devin Booker. We know what Devin Booker can do. He could average pretty close to 30, even playing with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. I think we're going to see similar things from Booker with maybe increased efficiency. His points might drop a little bit, but that's because he's playing with two elite scorers. Without further ado, there's no question Devin Booker is an S tier. Now, Zach LaVine has been a tough one for me because this season, I believe he's going to be a shooting guard that averages like 25, 26 points, but it's all going to be on empty stats. However, he shoots very well from all three levels. He's still very athletic. His defense has never been there for him, but I'm going to put him in the A category because his offense is just so elite. But I don't really think he's on the level of a guy that's Desmand Bane or Dejante Murray anymore, but he's definitely going to be a great player for the Chicago Bulls next season. Next, we have Kyrie Irving. Now, we all know Kyrie Irving was usually a point guard, but this is going to be his first full season as shooting guard. I don't think that changes anything. He was always a score versus player at the point guard. And I think playing against Luka Doncic, Luka's going to have the ball more, but Kyrie's definitely going to get his chance to ISO and do what he does. And he's another guy that can go out there and get you 30 every night. And S tier category is where Kyrie Irving needs to be. Next, we have Tyler Hero. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of Tyler Hero. I think primarily why he's so good on offense is because the Heat have no other real shot creator, so he's the only option. I say put him with a couple other true scorers and his stats may not be that good, but given a situation in Miami and losing Strus and Gabe Vincent, he's going to have the ball even more this season, and I think he's going to put up close to 23, 24 points a game, and that alone puts him in the A category. Next, we have OG Anunoby. Now, he's one of the better two-way shooting guards in the league. I wish his offense was developed a little bit more. He's mainly a spot-up guy for them, but his defense alone puts him, in the B range. And then mix in his offense, he's solidified in the B. I don't think he's an A-tier guy just because his volume of scoring has never been super high, and I don't think it's going to increase this year, even with the loss of Fred VanVleet. But Anunoby is a very good shooting guard in this league, and B is where he needs to be. Next, we have Devin Vassell. Now, Vassell came off a season averaging just shy of 20 points, and I think that this is going to be his all-star type breakout season. The Spurs just got Victor Wembanyama, and I think there's going to be so much attention on him driving to the paint and in the paint that if Vassell, the only real true shooter on that team, is going to get so many open looks. I think he's going to get the threshold of 22, 23, 24 points a game. And this might be kind of my boldest take of the video, but I think he's going to be an A-tier shooting guard in this league this season. Next, moving on to Jaylen Brown. Now, he was the money man of the offseason, getting a $300 million extension. I'm not saying that he's worth that much right now, but he is definitely an S-tier caliber shooting guard in this league. Last season, he averaged just under 27 points a game, and he's always been a great defender in the league, and almost averaging 30, being a great defender. He still needs to learn how to use his left hand, but he's definitely an S-tier caliber player in the league. Next, moving on to Jalen Green. Now, I think this is the year he's going to become an A-tier caliber shooting guard, mainly because his points has been there for the past 2 seasons, but his efficiency has been horrible, and the Rockets just added 2 very good playmakers at Fred VanVleet and Amen Thompson, and I think them giving Green a couple easy looks per game every night is really going to increase his efficiency and increase his scoring. So I think this is the year where he has a very efficient year as well as scoring a lot of buckets. Next, moving on to Malik Beasley. Now, it's kind of a coin flip whether Pat Connaughton or he's going to start at the shooting guard. It might just depend on what the Bucks need in that particular game. But Malik Beasley did struggle from 3 when he got traded to the Lakers, but all throughout his career before that, he was a flamethrower from 3. And I think in this Bucks offense, he's going to get a lot of open looks. But there is some concern about his inefficient shooting coming off of last season. So for there, I'm going to put him at the C category. Next, we have Donovan Mitchell. He is S tier. We've seen what he can do. He dropped 70 points a game last season. He's a pretty good defender for his size. He can score on all 3 levels. Best player on the Cavaliers. Not really much else to say. He is definitely S. Next, moving on to Paul George. Now, I think he's going to be an A category player. His offense is going to be good. His defense is going to be good. However, he's going to fall in and out of the lineup due to injuries based on previous trends, as well as he is getting up there in age, so maybe this is the year that affects his scoring. I can't put him on the same tier as the 4 guys in the S. If I could, I'd put him in between S and A, but unfortunately, he's going to have to fall in the A tier. Next, we're moving on to Anree Simons. Now, I don't know how much focus the Portland Trail Blazers are going to put on his development, knowing they have Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson ready to take over that backcourt in Portland. But he is going to get the starting lineup at the shooting guard, and he's going to get a lot of burn, and he's going to put up a lot of points. However, he's going to maybe get around 20, 22 points a game. Now looking to see Tyler Hero on the A tier. I kind of want to put him there, but Simon's going to get the B tier. Next, moving on to Caldwell Pope, C tier. He's a great 3-and-D player. Going to get a lot of burn for them. Every team would like to have him, but I can't put him on the B tier list. Next, we have Terry Rozier. Now, he is more than capable of putting up 20 points per game on the Charlotte Hornets because they don't have really any other ball handlers besides LaMelo. His shooting has been inefficient. His three-point shot has been declining over the past couple seasons. And I can't put him on B because also he doesn't provide anything on defense. So C is where Terry Rozier is going to lie. Next, moving on to Jordan Poole. I'm going to put him on the B tier because I think his scoring this year is going to be high, but going to be pretty inefficient, similar to what we saw from Jalen Green last year. Next, moving on to Mikal Bridges. I'm going to put him on the A tier. He's one of the best defenders in the league, and last season he really showed what he can do when the ball's in his hand, and he's a primary scorer. I think he's just going to improve upon that, and I think he could work his way in the S tier next season, but this year is going to be at the A tier. And now, in terms of him playing shooting guard, I've seen a couple different opinions. I have him here for now. Maybe it changes, but if he does play the shooting guard all season, A tier is where he's going to be on this list. Next, we have Collin Sexton. I'm going to put Sexton at the C tier. I think he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot this season, and he's going to put up, a good amount of points. But again, inefficient scoring, kind of small at the 2 guard, can guard point guards, but nobody else. Playmaker is not really there. I don't want to put him on the D because I think he's going to get a lot of shot attempts and, increasing his stats. So I think C tier is where he's going to be. Next, we have Ausar Thompson. I'm going to put him on the C tier. I put all rookies here, no matter what pick they were drafted, because you don't really know what they're going to, output, because we haven't seen him play in a real NBA game yet. What I do know is he's going to be a great defender for them. He looks pretty good as a passer right now, and his finishing around the basket is probably going to be pretty good, but his outside shooting needs some work. But if he can get that figured out later years, he's going to be a problem in this league. Next, we have Anthony Edwards. This is the season that Edwards is really going to break out and, get his name into the top 10 players in the league category. I think ESPN ranked him at number 9. However, I don't really want to put him that high yet, just based off his end of season last year and his play, overseas during the summer. But I think having a full year under his belt this year, he's going to put up great numbers, lead the Minnesota Timberwolves to a playoff position, and he's going to be one of the best shooting guards in the league. Next, we got Tyrese Maxey. He's going to be an A tier player, especially if James Harden does end up flaming out of the 76ers. He's going to be the only perimeter guy that's going to be handling the ball, and he's looked great in preseason. He looked great last year, and he's improved every single year. I think this is just another one of those years he's going to make another jump and really be impactful for the 76ers and be a great player for them. If James Harden does get traded, he'll probably move over to the 1, but as it stands right now, he is a shooting guard, and he is going to be on the A tier. Now, speaking about point guards, just the other day, I did the same type of video, but I ranked all the NBA starting point guards in the league. If you want to go ahead and check out that video, it'd be greatly appreciated. I'll be uploading a small 401 later this week. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.